I know I'm a little late with this, but you got everything you need. So Lucy comes up with a crazy plan, and like, I don't blame her because she's in a crazy situation. So when you're in a crazy situation, you're coming up with crazy plans, right? Or you're gonna have crazy thoughts. You're gonna throw anything out there. So they talked about different magics, maybe getting Gray to freeze the Acnologia. They talked about, maybe slaying Acnologia raw with a sword, but this ain't a story, right? Like, I mean, to us it's a story, it's fairy tale, right? But to these characters actually living in fairy tale, it's real, right? So, no, none of that. Lucy comes up with a plan to put Acnologia on a boat. To put Acnologia on a boat so they could buy themselves some time, he'd be motion sick, and then they put him in this fairy sphere. Now, they actually used the fairy sphere back during Tenro Island for defensive purposes, but this time they're also going to use it in a defensive way, but in a different way. So they actually want to trap Acnologia within that sphere so he can't just destroy everything. And, I mean, I don't want to say that I was blessed not to review these chapters weekly, but in a way I was, because they kind of fuck each other over. Like, the end of the second chapter, it's just pure unadulterated destruction from the Acnologia. Like, he's wiping everything out. Like, all them boats are gone! And it's really tragic because you have them all working together. Like, this ain't only fairy tale here. This is a lot of characters in Fior, and this is their island. This is their home, right? And you'd think that maybe they could avoid some of this devastation because Acnologia lost his sense of self. So he doesn't actually know what he's doing. Like, his mind, his, conscious is actually in the ravines of time, whereas the physical manifestation of the dragon, without the conscious, without the mind, is out there in the real world. But yet he still targets exactly what he needs to target and destroys that shit so that he wouldn't be put down. I mean, according to Minerva, who was vital in this plan, instinct drove him to destroy his weakness. Like, ain't that something out of an apocalyptic scene? You got all your cards perfectly aligned on the table, but that one speck of dust knocks all that shit out of place. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, what do you mean instincts? Like, because when I think of instincts, I think, like, I'm horny, I need a fap, or I'm hungry, I need to eat, or, I need a shit or something like that, right? And sometimes the fairy tale manga, makes you, like, attached to your instincts. Like, sometimes when you see these characters in sexual positions and shit. But since when is instincts just destroying your entire, enemy's fleet? That's not instincts, that's just called bullshit. So, I mean, in a weird way, Hero's actually writing things in Acnologia's favor. There's nothing accurate about instinctual destruction, because, these are some explosive attacks. Like, you see a lot of the buildings and little homes, like, they're still there, they're still intact. But all the ships, like, all the tools they needed to basically set this plan in motion, no, that's what gets destroyed instinctually. So, in a weird way, I kind of like it because usually it's fairy tale that everything is written in their favor. Like, when they're in the middle of a fight, everything just goes their way because of love or something. Like, how about some bullshit affects you now? And that's exactly what happened, and I love this chapter, or these chapters, for that. Specifically the second chapter, because it kind of fucked the first one over. Where they're discussing the plan, Edessa and all of them are leading Acnologia to Hargion, as Lucy is looking through the library to find that perfect book, How to Use Fairy Sphere. Amongst this entire library, she ends up finding that shit, being buried in books and stuff. And the plan completely fails. These guys need a fleet. What's a home without the people that you were living with? First it's the ships, then it's the homes, and then it's the lives. Or it's the lives in the middle of all of this shit. So leave, go somewhere else with everybody, and rebuild a civilization there. Let the Acnologia do his thing over here. Like, even if the Acnologia is drawn to mages and he's going to chase them down, I feel like they could get away. As for them fighting the thing, they're not going to be able to stop him, clearly. I really do feel like it comes down to the ravines of time. And I know it's hard to see that right now because, man, they're getting owned. Like, Wendy's on the ground, Laxus is being buried into the ground, you've got Cobra gushing out blood, you got Sting and Rogue being, like, swatted like flies, you've got Natsu, he's not even making contact with Natsu, fucking him up. Like, Acnologia is completely owning all of them. It's hard to see them putting Acnologia down in the ravines of time. But I don't believe if they put down the dragon in the real world that all of a sudden the Acnologia owning all of these dragon slayers is gonna fucking disappear. It's just not, you know what I mean? Like, if anything, it'd be the other way around. It'd be taking down the head would take down the dragon, not the other way around. Now, this chapter is really trying to get you to hate the Acnologia, even more than you hate him, right? Because I feel like ever since Xerath kind of took a hold of everything, and we've been focused on him, a lot of times Acnologia was put on the back burner, like, we sort of forgot about him. I mean, he wasn't really bothering anybody. But more and more, come to find out, he's just destroying shit for no reason. Like, there's no reason behind why he's doing what he's doing. He just wants to destroy shit. So, it's not even that he really has a grudge against dragons necessarily. It's that he just wants to destroy shit. There really is no logic behind that. I mean, Cobra said himself, he can't hear the voice of his heart. You got Acnologia there talking about, like, I'm the strongest, that's why I'm called the Dragon King, bitch. And by the end, he openly admits that he's only doing this to destroy shit, right? So, I'm wondering if they're going to keep that agenda going forward, if Acnologia is simply going to be this killing machine without a heart, or if they're actually going to develop his character. Maybe we'll learn more about him and why he's really doing this. This chapter will really make you not like the Acnologia, though I'm wondering if they'll actually develop his character and he'll become, you know, a multifaceted one in the same way that Xerath is. Like Irene, for instance, you know, when she first appeared, she was just ruthless, she was savage, but in the end, there was more to her than met the eye. Met the eye, meets the eye. Y'all get the fucking point. This dude is just pure evil, and you could tell he's taking his time, because if he really wanted to finish them all off, he could, but no, he's just laughing there as Natsu's insinuating that he's going down. And he's not even making contact with them some of these times. Like, Wendy enchanted all of them, so you'd think that maybe they'd have some kind of boost. Maybe they'd have some defense, right? His attacks are so powerful that he doesn't even need to make physical contact with them. I'm really wondering what they're going to do. I don't know. It's a guessing game. I'm guessing just because the ships were destroyed, that doesn't mean that they can't come up with a plan on the outside. You know, they still have the book. They could still use Fairy Sphere. They just have to come up with a different method to buy time. So I'm guessing that could work, but as for the Acnologia in human form in the Ravens of Time dealing all these guys abuse, I wonder how that's going to end, guys, because, I mean, they could die. Just because they're in the Ravens of Time doesn't mean they can't die. There should be multiple